Hey, this is Steampunk Stories and of AmberStreet.com, and this is a brief update. But what I can say is that it's been a nightmare. It's been a nightmare. It's been terrible this last month. I took this job that was supposed to include room and board plus $300 a month for cleaning up, helping clean up an apartment and home elder care. And so for the first 3 weeks, I had been cleaning up the apartment, and it was terrible. I mean, like, there was a woman there who had been cooking drugs in the apartment, and the apartment smelled terrible. And it didn't matter how many rugs we threw out or how much Febreze we sprayed. We even set off 2 bug bombs, and nothing would get the smell out. And the woman who had hired me, those of you who are close to me will know who she is. I'm not going to mention her by name here, but basically didn't want to spend any money. And the first 3 weeks while I was cleaning up my alone, and I also was confronted by the property manager because of they're trying to evict Peter, and they've got a court date of July the 2nd because of a health code violation. That was a nightmare dealing with that as well. And they were trying to kick me out and I was like, I'm just here to help clean. And they didn't believe me, and just cleaning up all the mess from the woman who had been there before. I cleaned up a lot of it, but and the guy was also a pack rat. The 86-year-old guy who had lived there was a pack rat, and he had a lot of stuff, and so it was condemned for both the clutter and everything. And the apartment's on the 2nd story, so it was a total nightmare. And then on April the 23rd, Monday, he gets out of the nursing home, and I had to help carry him up the stairs, and that was hard as hell. Even though he weighed 125 pounds, trying to get somebody up the stairs without hurting him is really hard. But I managed to do it with the help of the other woman who had hired me. And now she would come by every day. I only took care of him for 5 days, but she would come by every day, but only for 1 or 2 hours a day. And then it took her 2 days to even provide diapers. She never provided enough sheets. I only had 1 spare set of sheets. She never gave me enough money for laundry. I had to spend my own money for laundry. I had to spend my own money for bottled water, even though a lot of it was going to Peter. It was a nightmare. She would only bring by food that she got from the food bank and cleaning supplies that she got from her RV that she lived in. She just did not care, and she got her name added to his trust. And when I confronted her about it and told her that Peter didn't want that, she started having an attitude and said I had no business telling the guy her business. And I don't know. It all went downhill from there. And I also took a lot of verbal abuse. And when I finally stood up to her about the lack of cleaning supplies, the lack of towels, the lack of sheets, the lack of quarters for the laundry, the lack of food, she fired me and replaced me with a person who is like 70 years old and very feeble and has a bum hip because they're still recovering from a broken hip that didn't heal right. So how they're going to be able to take care of them, I don't know. But they don't care. They're only interested in the $1 million trust. So I'll quote Charles Dickens. It was the best of times and the worst of times. In a lot of ways, I feel good that I'm no longer doing this gig because I didn't get paid. It was a waste of time. I possibly got paid a little bit if I can even attempt to cash the check, if there's even money available to cash, but I somehow seriously doubt it. And I put in a lot more back-busting effort, like stepping in poo, changing diapers, feeding, clothing, bathing. It was a lot of back-breaking work for very little to no pay. And so I'm glad to be over the gig because it was overwhelming. I needed much more logistical support than what I was getting to properly take care of this guy. But at the same time, it's the worst of times because the gentleman in question was a Holocaust survivor born in Germany in 1931, immigrated to the United States in 1938. He told me he had survived the Holocaust, He avoided it, or that's the way he phrased it. He avoided it. His generation was the last survivors of the Holocaust. He came here with his parents, who were wealthy. They were his parents were insurance executives. He worked for his parents at an insurance company. He was a salesman, and he retired on a nice trust and Social Security, and that his parents had set up for him. And it's unbelievable. The woman who had hired me, I had red flags, but I was trying to find some work, something that would include room and board. But she's a bit of a Nazi sympathizer. So it's unbelievable that this guy avoided the Holocaust, but at the end of his life, he encountered it again from a woman who likes to brag like, well, Germany fought off the world for 6 years. We did pretty good. She would brag about stuff like that because she's a German citizen. But anyway, this is Steampunk Star Raising out. You have a nice day, and I will see you 25 billion years. I will.